Ready to start then? Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, councillors, for attending the meeting tonight, and for the staff that are attending here tonight. Thank you for all the people in the gallery. You certainly have got a rather large gallery here tonight, so thank you for attending our December council meeting.
Mayor, I'd like to put forward a procedural motion to round our table to start with. I'd like to have the question time brought forward before my motion, item number 5. So I'd like to get some support that we bring forward question time, because there's some people that are here obviously to ask some questions of the council.
We'll just get advice on that, Councillor Blenkhorn.
Majority.
So thank you for that. So I need an absolute majority from councillors. So I'm going to ask the councillors to vote. Are you prepared to bring question time before number 5? I'll ask for a vote. All those in favour? Those against?
Yes.
It's not carried. So we will be leaving the question time at number 9. So I'll start with number 1. Apologies, leave of absence. We've got Councillor Simone Hague. Number 2, we've got declarations of pecuniary and conflicts of interest, Local Government Act of 1993. I will ask any councillors, if you have a pecuniary or conflict of interest on any item of the agenda, to please declare that and fill in the form and give it to Alicia, please. Number 3, we've got the confirmation of minutes. So we have a recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Kentish Council held at the Council Meeting Room, Sheffield, on the 19th of November be taken as read and confirmed. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Cassidy and Councillor Hughes. Are there any questions or comments about the confirmation of minutes? In that case, I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. We don't have any presentations tonight, so I'm going to go on to number 5, which is notices of motion. We have a motion here on the table tonight. The author is Councillor Rodney Blenkhorn, that the Kentish Council acknowledge exhibits and findings as per the attachments, the report by David Spiker, a letter from the Honourable Russell Broadbent MP, follow-up letter by the Honourable Russell Broadbent MP, and a follow-up letter by the Honourable Russell Broadbent MP. In light of the information contained in Exhibits 1, 2, 3 and 4, Council resolves to A, recognise this matter as a public advocacy with potential public health implications, advocate on this potential public health issue to ensure community welfare and trust, reaffirm our commitment to transparency, public confidence and accountability within our public health institution, and receive 6 monthly briefings on developments related to reported DNA contamination in COVID-19 mRNA vaccinations from the state government and the TGA. The first should be sought in the new year in Kentish Council to maintain an awareness of the emerging issues. So I'll have a mover. So Councillor Blenkhorn, you've put the motion on the table. So could I have a seconder for this motion, please?
Oh,
Come on. As there is no seconder for the motion will not be discussed here tonight, as there is no seconder for the motion. So thank you for that.
Thank you, councillors.
And
well, thank you for
we will go on to number
Yeah.
6 now, and that is the any petitions.
You should
So
be
thank
absolutely
you.
disgusted with yourselves.
Ask you to leave, please.
That is disgusting. Do you know what has happened to people?
If you don't leave, I will adjourn the meeting while you all leave the building. Thank you.
It'll be on your head.
Thank
if
you.
anyone else gets injured or
Legal
worse.
ramifications.
America.
You to leave the meeting. All right, I will adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes, please. Councillors, if you would leave the room, please.
There were people not seen by our doctors because they were anti-vax. They didn't want vaccinations. And some of them are here in this room. People that know the nurse, I had to go and see them.
This is what I do at school. I remove the class.
Wow.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, mate. Pretty all around here.
Rodney, when's question? Come on,
We'll still be asking questions.
stand up and place them.
I'll still be asking a question. And everybody else will pay you to ask a question. They're going to have a question time after. And let's hope we get some answers that I've spoken to that.
I'm going to stay.
But haven't they just already?
Yeah, the motion's been put out.
No, but they've now walked out for 10 minutes and it was clear.
No, they.
You know what?
We've got questions.
While they're having their little meeting, we need more people that are of Mother Earth, I think, that really want to do things naturally. And we need to have people.
They haven't said for us to clear out, have they? Because we've got question time, so we can stay here and ask our questions, can't we? That's right.
The mayor's the chair.
Yeah. No, that's
person,
fine.
so
Yeah,
If there's any more interjections, this will keep happening.
yeah. As far as I'm concerned, they said they're going to be in question time, and so we've got the right to ask some questions.
The ambulance and the doctors would see you.
Different.
Would you like to stand up? Because the vaccinations became a thing that they had to do. I personally know of people that have had bad adverse reactions. In Denmark in 22, they arranged that nobody more was allowed to have vaccines. We do need to look at the efficacy of the vaccines because they're not working. And the proof of that is that they have boosters. So
my daughter,
let's just say it. Just say
are
it.
they actually
Nobody's
listening?
Right.
Budget version of that.
My daughter's in a wheelchair because of AstraZeneca. No? I don't know how these people sleep at night time.
Will they come back and have
I
questions?
think so.
Boom.
Chairman.
No, I know. They're probably getting rid of us.
I can't, I know, but see, you can't get anywhere if you do that, okay?
$18 minutes.
They might come
How
back
much
now.
now? Pay you $10,000 to shut everybody down.
It's going to continue with or without you, and they've asked you to leave. We're here in your stead. Would you please make up, we're not going to come back in. They're not going to come back in.
They don't come back.
We've actually got the right to ask questions.
We have a right.
So we can do that in her stead. That's what I'm saying.
Stay here and I'm going to listen this out.
They won't do it.
Well, then I won't continue. But I know how I've done my interjection. She should stay.
Yeah, I'm really funny.
There you go, still in the land of the living.
It reminds me.
One that hasn't, it's got the worst problem. We are just the one that's well.
I tell you one thing. Really? They're a bunch of cameras.
There's no contamination. That's the vaccine. Where's Mr.
When I listen to it, that's what they say.
Some people don't understand what MRA refers to. That is the problem. It's messenger
Yeah, well,
Oh, sorry,
Now, what
Penny.
am I saying now? We resume lecture. Got response to questions raised.
I'll take this thing back up.
Number 8. This is one outside. Yeah, you need to come to me. Thank you. Maybe that's what, Bill. Oh, I'm not the petitions, number 6 petitions. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've got the
But we
petition.
haven't, nobody, no,
Do they need
so
to
they
read?
can't table it in there, can they?
No.
No, so there were petitions, no, right, we're up to number 6. All right. Thank you, councillors. I will resume the meeting at 6:13. We are up to number 6, and that is petitions. We do not have any petitions at this stage. Number 7.
Madam Mayor, there's a
We're not
petition.
accepting petitions now. If you want to ask a question, you can do that in question time. Thank you, Mr Redgrave.
For a petition.
Number 7, response to questions raised at a prior ordinary council meeting. And so we have a recommendation that the responses to the questions from Rodney Blenkhorn and Shane Allison at the council meeting held on the 19th of November 2024 be received and noticed. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Richards, Councillor Dickinson. All those in favour?
What was the answer to my question that I asked, Madam Mayor?
Well, it's in the it's here. It's
Could you read that out to me?
well, it's a long response, and you've had the agenda for nearly a week, so you would have seen the response that we wrote there, Councillor Blenkhorn. So I'm not going to read it out because you've had plenty of time to read that. So are there any? There's no discussion about the responses, so I'm going to put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against?
Vote again.
There's one against, Councillor Blenkhorn. Number 8, public participation. Questions on notice from the public. We don't have any. Now we have public participation questions without notice. I will ask, as there's a big gallery here tonight, and I would ask, please, if you do have a question, that you would stand up with your name and the topic at which you want to ask the question. And I would please ask that you would be respectful in the way you speak to us and to each other. So if anybody has a question, I'd like you to stand up, and we're only having 15 minutes for question time. So please keep your questions to a minimum, please. Thank you. Mr. Ralph.
Right, Sam Ralph, Wild Mersey Bike Track. Under accrual counting, how much money has been set aside each year for maintenance and how much was actually spent last year?
Thank you. We'll take that on notice. Thank you, Mr. Ralph. We'll hand that to Alicia, please.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Robin, would you like to say your name and the topic you would like to talk about? Ask the question, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Robin Thomas, and it's about the vaccination issue. I will be very quick. Please know that we all feel this massive issue with compassion for you. As we know, the Port Hedland new information must be a shock. However, this perhaps can promote a uniting feeling, as so many of us have suffered from losing our loved ones, our friends, sicknesses, and being socially maligned. We've all been criminally misinformed. This was not your fault, dear councillors. Proven psychological strategies were used. It's since been discovered, surprise, surprise, for power and money. Not your fault. Here is my question. First, considering the federal government and the TGA knowingly broke our own GMO laws, Australian GMO laws, by allowing importation and use of Pfizer Australia's and Moderna Australia's GMO experimental injection products, is having since been proved from the chronology of government and company documentation between them. And considering the fact that from at least 5 Western countries' respective government excess death figures, so far in each country, each government excess death stat correlates with their respective rollout dates of the so-called vaccines. This is in the millions now worldwide. Please remember, this is from government's stats alone, not any rotten plebs. Yes, Dr. John Campbell for that. And considering the fact that there has been, for the last 4 years, a very obviously concerted mainstream media suppression of objective medical science, including by our ABC, and suppression of information about and from hundreds of our beautiful Aussie doctors and nurses who've refused to administer these toxic products because of their Hippocratic oath not to harm, and this includes our beautiful Dr. Daff. Many of them...
Go on with your question, please.
Many of us...
Because we need to be moving.
Yes,
We've got 15
many
minutes.
of them now picking vegetables.
Could you ask your question, please?
Yes, this is all part of my one question. And considering the fact that iconic Australian medical leaders like Dr. Karen Phelps, President of the AMA, and Dr. Nick Coates-Worth, you remember he was a federal government's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, having initially led our country's push to get the jab and having subsequently realised the true medical outcomes or from bad injuries themselves, are strongly now advising to immediately stop taking them. And considering that, nearly finished, the TGA has not been able to produce any evidence over months to Australians to back its claim that the DNA and cancer contamination in the jab found by many global peer-reviewed medical professors, as in the Port Hedland for you, is untrue. And this is the last bit. And considering that all this is a tiny tip of the iceberg about this diabolical crime, the grave stats of sickness and death caused and still occurring from these injections, please understand, you dear guys could be wonderful leaders in voting to suspend administering of these awful, harmful and heritable toxins upon all of our families, please, until further independent medical investigation, as Rodney's suggesting, blah, 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 except not from TGA.
Your question, please.
This would be consistent with our duty of care under the 1993 Act for your legal responsibilities, dear councillors and Kate, for our health, especially with new information. I need to draw your attention, please, to the 1993 Act regarding health and well-being for all of us, please, that's very important. This is in your purview and it's your responsibility to be looking after our health. And my sister died from her shots.
Thank you. Is that the question that you're asking us? That
I'm sorry, I forgot that. My question is, please, with all the information that you have, and legally, once you get new information, you have legal responsibility to act on it. You can choose to not do anything, but each day that goes by, you may well be causing the sickness or the death of our little children and
Okay,
our
thank you. Is
family
that-
members.
That's the question that you're asking. What we're going
My
for.
question is, please, when will you?
Okay, thank
No,
you.
when will you be sharing the Port Hedland info with all of us in the community to whom you have ultimate trusted responsibility?
Thank you. We will take your question on notice. Thank you.
When will you please suspend the vaxes so it doesn't hurt us
Thank you.
anymore and our families?
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Redgrave?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did send your council about 10 to 4 this afternoon some photos of the trees down in
Yes.
Biggin Street.
Yes, I saw that. Thank
And
you.
here is a petition from the locals that have asked me to present it on their behalf because I do feel that nervous coming to council. So we, the residents of Railton, are concerned about the safety of the gum trees located on Kentish Council property at Biggin Street, Railton. Not only are these trees dangerously close to residential homes, they also create a huge concern and hazard for driving on this section of road as the branches fall onto the road, as evident of last night. They also fill the drain beside the road, preventing water from draining effectively into the river catchment and causes flooding in the intersection of Biggin Street and Railton. We, the residents of Railton, wish to advise council that these trees need to be removed swiftly to avoid any further safety concerns in this area. Now, Kentish, I know from first-hand experience, has had many wind occasions over the last couple of years and the destructions they have. And I'm not sure what purpose these trees serve along that fence line, but one of them come down last night. So it's been written for a month now.
Thank you. We will receive your petition and it will be checked at council. If it abides by all the regulations within the Local Government Act, then we will table it at the January meeting.
Thank you.
So we will contact you and let you know the outcome of the petition. Thank you, Mr. Redgrave. Are there any other questions? So we've got 5 minutes.
I've got a question.
Your name and topic,
Andrew
please.
Stanley, and the topic's of the COVID contamination debate that's going on at the moment, concerns with that. I don't know if you've all got one of these. A couple of you probably haven't. I'll put a couple there if need them. This is sort of an add-on to the letter that I actually gave you last meeting. It was submitted to you, so I don't know where that's gone. It was given to you last meeting. I tried to bring the question up, but apparently I was here too late. Just didn't take the question, so it was given on. So there's a bit of an update to it. I'll read some of it through. To the Kentish Council, 69 High Street, Sheffield, blah, blah, blah. A growing movement of local councils question the COVID-19 vaccine station and health system, concerns about potential adverse health effects and lack of transparency for health authorities have led to increased scrutiny and debate. It was at the Port Hedland, Western Australia, October 11, 2024. Port Hedland Council voted 5-2 in favour of sending letters to the Prime Minister and Council of Australia, which we've all received. That's why we're here now. For the investigation into the safety and efficiency of COVID-19 vaccines, the Council expressed concerns and potential long-term health side effects, including autoimmune disorders and neurological damage.
Could I just interrupt there? Thank you, Mr. Stanley. We do have a copy of this in front of us.
Yeah.
And we have got a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So we will refer to this with your question if you could ask us the question.
It's got that.
Thank you.
So we've got the same in Sojourner, West Tamar, all these things happened. But I'm sort of reminding you, especially now that Councillor Blankhorn's put this forward and you've gone against that, the legal ramifications of Kentish Council, if this all goes pear-shaped to use, and it's found that these things are true, is all liable, and all the things on this, it's civil liability, criminal liability, regulatory penalties, loss of public trust. There's there's a course of action there for you to take if you want. So, so I'll submit that to you. Consider that. There will be another question for another matter. Which
Right, so you're basically submitting
general distrust in the health system. You're just saying, let's go to the health system for answers. These are the people we don't trust, you know, but we can go over their heads type thing, and you've got the power to do that. And you need to vote on this thing. He's got nothing to lose. You know, you've got everything to gain.
Is that your question that you're asking us in question
That's
time?
one question.
Thank you.
So what are his numbers?
Well, we've shown tonight that we haven't seconded the motion. I've got a letter from the Department of Health, and this is from the Director of Public Health. This is going out to all councils around Tasmania. So we'll be looking at that as far as our council goes.
Okay, so we know.
From the Department of the Health.
No secondary, like looking into like.
Well, each individual councillor can do that if they so wish, but we won't be doing that as a council at this stage. We will be going by the direction from the Public Health.
Heard in the meantime, probably, or advised or something. That's what you're up for us anyway.
Thank you. So we've got 2 minutes for one last question. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I interject? Could you, someone move standing orders to extend the question time, if that's possible? Because obviously there's some residents here. I don't know, I come to this meeting.
Nobody else put their hand up, Mr. Allison. One there. So councillors, I'm going to ask you, would you like to increase question time by 5 minutes?
Yep, I would definitely.
15.
You've moved it.
I'd like to move that we
Seconder?
extend question time.
I don't have any objections.
Thank you, councillor Thwaites. All in favour? Okay, so all in favour? 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes. No, it hasn't got up. There's only 3 that have voted for it, so it hasn't got up. So we'll be finishing in 5 minutes.
We've still got more time.
Okay, thank you. So Elizabeth, you've got a question for us.
What council has the council's thought in the matter of the COVID-19 vaccines in order to remove themselves from this room when a motion was put forward? What scientific or professional counsel has the councillors thought in order to make such a...
Thank you. We'll take that question on notice and we'll get back to you. So Alicia, it was what scientific evidence have we got to make the decisions we've been making? Thank you for that, Elizabeth. We had a question down there. Thank you.
My name's Phil Lidbetter. I'm from Ralston. First of all, I'd just like to thank the councillors who actually answered my phone call. It's very disappointing that it was very hard to actually get a lot of councillors to actually come back to me. And you're supposed to be my representatives. I phoned a number of people and one said they'd phone me back, never did. Others just never answered the phone. So it's very hard to actually communicate with the councillors. So I was very disappointed with that, but I thank you, the ones that were able to speak to. So thank you. The main problem I heard from the ones I spoke to was it's none of council's business. Can I just ask one quick question? First of all, I'll make one statement. The actual Local Council Act actually says they must look after, or words to it, the health and of the citizens. And that is the issue here, that people are not being listened to and they've got concerns about their health and the other people, and we care about our community out there. We would like that. Now, I'd like to ask this question. If it's got nothing to do with council, did council advocate for the vaccine bus to be in the Kentish area? That's my question.
Well, thank you. We'll have to take that on notice because that's a few years ago now. So thank you for that, Phil. So any other questions? So that's Mr. Allison, this will be the last question. Thank you.
I've got 2, Miss Mayor. That's okay. The first questions are regarding to what's happening here tonight, which is pretty nice. I love it when people turn up to their council meetings. I'm sure you know that. My name's Cush Allison, 65 Wilmot Street, Portsmouth. Regarding the Kentish Council and the Mayor's comments in Saturday's paper, where she quotes, I said to Rodney, we have enough work here, and I'm aware of that this has arisen, but it's not a local government issue. I made that clear. I was just on a quick search of your page. You have a school immunisation program. Council also conducts a school immunisation program for all schools within the municipality. Consent forms are delivered to each school for distribution to those students that are eligible to participate in that program. And the word consent is very valid because you've given your consent to not hear that motion today. Kentish Council also owns and leases the Sheffield Medical Doctors Surgery, to my current knowledge. I'll quote the former mayor from a newspaper article in October 21, I think it was. Some of the first bit I'm reading is what the advocate wrote. Some of the reluctances have been about not wanting to travel out of the council area to get vaccinated and wanting to access Pfizer, but those excuses will be taken away when October the 8th and 9th comes around because the vaccine bus was coming to town. As Mayor of Kentish, I have heard a lot and it's such a hot topic of discussion. That's the former mayor. I've already read the first part of what you quoted in the paper on Saturday, Ms. Mayor, but the second bit is, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher or a health professional, so I don't feel like I have the expertise, but I will wait to have the discussion around the table on Tuesday night. You had no discussion around the table on Tuesday night, and where you say you're not a health professional, scientist, whatever, and no one probably in this room is, that there's plenty of them in those documents. This leads to my question. How can the Mayor, with the now obvious full support of the motion opposing councillors, as quoted in Saturday's advocate, say this is not a local government issue? This motion was all about your grandchildren and their future children, and you councillors' duty of care for the Kentish community. You're all elected to represent and work in the best interests of, and including as a whole council, which Phil tried to get out, is the health, safety and wellbeing of the same. My question too regards my question from last month, I noticed, which was a pretty simple question, was are the camp mayor, deputy mayor, councillors and all staff public servants? It was a simple yes or no question. There was no question given. So whom and who do you represent? Thank you. And work for.
Thank you for those questions. Right, so I will finish our public question time, thank you, and we will move on to number.
Did you get an answer?
Any of them?
We will take those on notice, Mr. Allison. The answer to the public servant was in, we gave you an answer to that.
Last month's questions I've not been contacted on.
Well,
through email or mail.
Well, we've got the responses here in our agenda.
Could you read them? That's when I finally read it.
All right. We will take those questions on notice. Thank you, Mr. Allison, and we will get back to you with the comments that I made, which were not completely right in the advocate, because I have not had a discussion with Councillor Blenkhorn. We've emailed, but I have not sat down and had the conversation. So the report in the advocate was not actually correct.
Well, they're inverted commas. So
thank you.
So if you have the answer to his
no, don't interrupt,
please. Why don't you read them out now?
Thank you. We're going on to number 10. Thank you.
So we've got one more, it's another health issue, but just give you all just on notice for the next meeting, maybe after Christmas or whatever.
Well, if you just leave it there with Alicia, we'll have a look at it. Thank you. We'll go on to number 10 now, and it's the Planning Authority. So we do not have, just leave them, please, Mr. Stanley, leave them with Alicia, please. Don't go around the table with the councillors. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to number 11, which is the Development and Regulatory Services Department. The first one is the Building Department report of November, and we have a recommendation that the report advising of building and plumbing applications and notifications received for the month of November 2024 be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hughes and Councillor Cassidy. Are there any questions regarding the Building Department report? Councillor Hughes.
It's nice to see that the building has lifted since last month and that, $2.5 million worth. So there's a lot of new homes going up around there.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hughes. Are there any other questions or comments about the report? If not, then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Then that is carried. So we'll go on to 11.2, which is Planning Development Application Status Report. We have a recommendation that the status report of development applications for the month of November 2024 be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Dickinson, Councillor Richards. Any comments about the development applications report? Councillor Twaits. You had a question? He's just trying to find it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next question.
Next, right. Right. Are there any other comments or questions? Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. I'll go on to number 12, Office of the General Manager, Neil. We've got 13, which is the Corporate and Business Services Department. We have the finance report, a recommendation that the financial report for the period ending 30th of November 2024, as provided by the team leader of finance, be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Richards and Councillor Lane. Are there any comments about the finance report, please? Councillor Richards.
Yeah, just not so much about the report, but soon Mr. Coxey's mind. The arrangement to be made with people that were struggling to pay their rates, is that still working on the right?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think, if you're referring to there's a hardship policy in place, and also outside of that, I mean, Council Race Office seem to do arrangements with those to get back on track. So yeah, that's still doing. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Twaits.
Just on the favourable variance, it says that we've got some money for the Dalbigan Street flood mitigation. Is that money? That's new, isn't it?
Can I ask you to answer that, Mr. Nagle? Thank you.
So we put a provision, well, effectively a provisional item in there, the budget, subject to the modelling, the flow modelling of that stream, and whether the duplication or replacement of that would be beneficial. So that report was received very early in the financial year, so effectively that money that's put aside for the previous year to be spent.
Right. Okay. But it's just been received, is that right? That money? It says that we've got a favourable variance.
We're not spending that money that we've budgeted for, which is what that's referring to.
Another question,
Thank you for representing people, not.
Underlying surplus prediction. So we've typically had a line on here predicting the underlying surplus of or the underlying result, I should say, not surplus. So it's not actually in this table. I just request that maybe we could have this figure regularly.
So can we take that question on notice, please, Alicia, and we'll have a look at that, and you bring it to the meeting each month?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a line item in this particular table. So that we'd have the underlying result, but it's not in this. I'll have it when we have it.
So, sorry, I'm being a bit distracted here. Sorry, Councillor Twaits.
I can understand.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, well, if Alicia's got that information, perhaps.
I'm just going to,
Andrew.
thank you.
Follow orders.
Thank you.
Keep following your orders.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Mr Cock to reply to your question, councillor Yates.
Yeah, through the chair, that has been the norm, and I think it's just been an oversight that just dropped off. I think probably changing staff preparing the report, and to be honest, I didn't notice it. So yeah, that's just been an oversight, and yeah, that'll be reinstated.
Thank you.
Good, thank you for that. Thanks for the reply for that. Good. All right, so we had a mover and a seconder. So are there any other comments or questions? Then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. So that's the financial report. So we're up to 13.2, which is the budget forecast. And Mr Cock as the team leader of finance, has done the report, and we have a recommendation that the report by the team leader of finance concerning the 2024-25 budget forecast be received and council endorse the budget reallocations within. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hughes, Councillor Lane. So I will open it up for any questions or comments. But first of all, I'll ask Mr Cock if you've got anything you would like to speak to with the report.
No, I guess main comment would be it's a high-level review being done, a sort of desktop high-level review done by finance staff, predominantly just looking at things that have changed since the adoption of the original budget and the year-to-date results, and just identifying any of the variances that have been identified to date that consider to be likely to be permanent variances and carry through to the end of the year. So it's identifying those. And also, I guess the report's identifying those specific issues that have been mentioned there from the annual plan that need extra funding to allow them to continue. So I guess what the report's showing is that if our forecasts are updated to include that additional spending, but also locking in the savings that are considered to be likely to be carried forward at the end of the year. The projection shows that the forecast to be pretty much in line with the original budget, notwithstanding that additional expenditure, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Any comments or questions about the budget forecast? Yes, Councillor Thwaites.
The councillor's term plan, which we all participated in. We've never had one before. It wasn't budgeted as part of the original budget for the year. I guess it's at the initiation of the new year, and that's absolutely a prerogative. But it wasn't budgeted, and now we're saying that we're over budget in the varying consultancies that are required to look after these initiatives. I just wonder, are there other items in there in the consultancy budget that we did not budget for, we didn't plan for in the budget? And because I'm leaning towards the second part of the options for council to consider, and that is for one option is to endorse the updated financial projection, but the other is to defer specific annual plan initiatives that will result in a higher than originally budgeted position. So I just think we're probably trying to do too much. That's in a nutshell. We've got too many consultants hammering us at the moment, and I think it'd probably be better to cut back. That's my comment. Anyway.
Thank you for that.
It's a bit like the Rowton flood mitigation, $600,000 consultants that went nowhere.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Right. I'll put it to the vote. We have
Sorry, Madam Mayor, what are we voting on? Are we voting on increasing the budget?
Will the budget forecast be received and council endorse the budget reallocations within?
Well, in other words, that's option one.
That to endorse the updated forecast or defer specific annual plan initiatives?
Yeah, so it's an either or. The recommendation is that we go with point one, I guess. But I would actually prefer to go with point two.
So comments from councillors? There's option one or option two for us to consider.
Yeah, well,
Councillor Richards.
I'm tending like councillor Craig said, maybe we should look and go with option two and just see if there is something that we can postpone or cut out, but if we're putting other things in there, you know, we step that budget down and we'll try and keep us reasonably well to the budget as we possibly can if we can, and I just think that if we start overrunning it, we probably need to look and cut something somewhere else, or as Councillor said, even in some of the other consultancy. So I'm happy with option two.
Right, so any other comments? Option one or option two?
Yeah, I'll be going with option two.
Okay, thank you, councillor Blenkhorn.
I'll be going with option two.
Two, thank you. All right, so we have the recommendation, but we've got the options for council to consider. So I'm going to ask for a vote that the report by the team leader be received and council endorse budget allocations from point two of the option that council is considering. Now, we had a mover and a seconder. So whoever moved, who was it, Alicia? Can you?
Hughes and Lane.
Hughes and Lane. So are you happy if we include point two with that recommendation?
Yes.
Councillor Lane.
May I speak? I think, was it not that we were, I had seconded the 13.1 and we've jumped to 13.2 because we went straight from there into when you were looking. Are we actually on 13.2?
No, we've done 13.1.
Okay. And
we're on
after
13.2.
I didn't realise I had a seconded for the 13.2. So yes, but I am absolutely.
So you're happy with point two?
It being point two.
So
just very, if that's the case, then council would need to probably workshop through those items, determine what they want to defer, and then come back and make a further decision in relation to the budget.
Thank you for that.
If I could just make a comment, just the way this is presented doesn't make it easy for us to, I would request, please don't make it hard for us to make a decision. Make it easy for us to say this or this, but it's not presented that way. Just a comment, please.
So we're saying that we would need to take it to a workshop in perhaps January or February, will we? The January forum, perhaps?
If that's the feeling at the meeting that they want to endorse option two.
Option two, all right. So that's what if we're going to endorse option two, we'll take it to a forum in perhaps a January forum, and we'll discuss it at the forum. All right. So would that be part of the recommendation then?
Just a comment on that.
Yes, Councillor Richards.
Is that possible? I mean, we've got staff here. Is that possible for us to do it for January or not?
So that's staff come back on the 2nd and we've got the forum on the 14th. So there will be 12 days. How does that sound, Alicia? Do you know what the agenda is for the forum?
Probably defer that to Jan if she thinks the staff are going to be. Well, we could list it for discussion, and if it needs, further work, well, it's potentially going to be February, I guess.
Yeah, that's what otherwise.
January, you're going to have a full 6 months costs in the budget as well to the end of December.
Yeah, I just wonder whether with the staff.
That's right.
Or something like that might not be quite
Yeah.
The meeting's still scheduled. We will be presenting. So yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we do have a recommendation that has been moved and seconded by Councillor Hughes and Councillor Lane. So, and that will with option 2 to be included in that. So I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried, and we will table it at a forum for discussion. All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the discussion, and thank you, Mr. Cock, for helping us through that, and Mrs. Phoebe. Infrastructure and Assets Department, nil. Operations Department, nil. And information. So we've got council forums, and we have a recommendation that information on topics discussed at the 19th of November and 30th December 2024 council forums be received. So could I have someone to move that? Councillor Lane and Councillor Cassidy. So any comments there? They were just the topics. So anyone want to have a take away from there? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. We have the delegates' reports. So we have a recommendation that the delegates' reports, thank you. The delegates' reports be received and noted. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Lane and Councillor Hughes. My delegate report is there, different things that have been going on through the month of November into December, and Deputy Mayor Lane has got a list of her things. Has any other councillor want to report on anything that they've been doing? Councillor Hughes.
Right, for a start, there's 20th of January, I've been down the cricket there as well, down the Sheffield Cricket Club. The Australian National Cricket Under 17 will be playing at Sheffield on the 20th of January 2025. West Australia and ACT will be participating down there. And the person from the Australian Cricket Association said the ground is really excellent. It just reminding you of his South African home ground. The second one is Ulverston and Sheffield will play this week, this Saturday at Sheffield for the finals, and they are the two top sides in the senior competition. So Sheffield's going very well.
Is it the finals already?
Yeah, this is the Great Northern one.
Oh, the Great Northern, yes.
Now, Mount Roland Landcare, the foxgloves is still an ongoing issue. Now, there is a Daphne bush there. Apparently spreading around the area. It's in the reserve. And there's a couple of places throughout our area there's collectors that council twice. And also it's in danger of the World Heritage Area at the Western Creek. So they are very careful on watching. It's all started from Fern Tree down at Hobart Way. And it just sort of spread up along the coast here somehow. So they have an eye on. New Year's 1st of January, there'll be the shopping carnival at Gary Park. I've been speaking to Glenn Bakes today, so it should be a good event. And the Christmas parade, I believe, went really well.
Yeah, the Christmas parade was fantastic, and Santa was fantastic. He did a great job. So
I don't know who he was.
It was excellent, and we had hundreds out at the Christmas parade, and the weather was very favourable, so that everyone was able to get out and enjoy the sunshine, and it wasn't windy and cold. So that was fantastic. All right, any other ones? Councillor Twaits.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just on the parade, I'd like to thank yourself and Deputy Mayor for your role in the parade. I think it's a great effort from everybody, and I'm very proud of our Lions Club for their role in getting that to such a great stage. I would also like to thank Council for their sponsorship. Darren Harris was absolutely wonderful in his support for us, and Michelle Dutton managed to get our traffic management plan over the line. So I acknowledge the assistance that's come from Council, and very, very well appreciated. That's behind the scenes, so the public don't see that. So, but yeah, I know a heck of a lot of work went into that.
Thank you. And I know that I'd like to make a comment too, to thank you, Councillor Twaits, because you were steering the whole thing. And I know you had a lot of volunteers and you had the Lions Club, but someone's got to steer the boat. And you were the one that kept it everything and making sure everything, all the boxes were ticked. So thank you for the effort that you put into it, and all your team at Lions Club and other volunteers. The SES were fantastic too. They were there to do the road management. Councillor Lane.
Just one really quick thing, just one of the highlights of the whole parade and watching people put their effort and things into their floats were the 5 snowmen, because it was just the biggest hit of the whole parade. I think they nailed it completely, and congratulations to the 5 very hot people in those little snowman outfits.
They were very good. They were. All right, any other reports from any other councillor? Yeah, Councillor Richards.
Yeah, just a report. I can't remember the date, but Councillor Fage himself attended the Darwin AGM and general meeting early December. I think it was 28th. And then later on, after the meeting, celebrated 30 years of Darwin's operation, 30 years since it started. And it was really good to see a lot of the older reps of the different councils over the 30 years that was still around and could make. I think there were 2 or 3 that, of the original set up 30 years ago. So that was, really good to be able to see that they're still around and see how Darwin's moved from they were visualised as councils 30 years ago. So, yeah, so it was very pleasant.
That was it's really good to see how that's happening, and the new organic facility, is that going okay?
The facility's going okay, but the declutter, or not declutter, packager, that they've got some problems with that.
Right.
And there's a possibility they might even have to get it replaced. It's not doing the job. It's leaving too much plastic and stuff in the
in the organic part.
Yeah, so they're working with whoever they got it off of, and it looks like a possibility if they can't get it right, that it might have to be
replaced. Well, let's hope it doesn't. It'll be a big job if it has to be replaced. Yep. Right. Thank you. Thank you for going to those meetings. It's good to have our council represented, seeing as we are one of the 4 councils with Dalberton. So thank you for that. Any other council want to report on their activities for the month? We do have a recommendation that the delegates' reports be received and noted, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? And that is carried. Council decision status report. We have a recommendation that the November 2024 status report of open council meeting decisions be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Lane, Councillor Dickinson. Anyone got a comment about the open status report? No comments. All right, if there's no comments or questions, then I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. 17.1, we have the Kentish Council Audit Panel Committee meeting for the 18th of November. Recommendation that the unconfirmed minutes of the Kentish Council Audit Panel Committee meeting held on the 18th of November 2024 be received. Do I have someone to move that? Councillor Cassidy, Councillor Lane. Any comments about the unconfirmed minutes? Councillor Twaits.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. On page 4, it says Kentish Council is a 25% owner of Dalberton, but only gets 8% of the profits. Well, we're only an 8% owner. Yeah.
Oh, we're not a 25% owner.
No. So, it's just whoever's taken the minutes, I think, has misinterpreted that, but it should be correcter.
Okay, so Councillor Lane, you're on the audit panel. Who's on there with you? Councillor
Dickinson and Councillor
Cassidy. So maybe have a talk, and the general manager is on there with you too. Yes. So maybe we could have a talk to the general manager as well, and we might need to get that amended at your next meeting. Yep. Okay. Yes.
And another question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The audit. It says, due to staff resourcing and other priorities, the Audit Office advises the independent auditor's report will now be issued in the week beginning 17th of November, then later on it says that the audit office has taken back their reports. So I'm unclear. Has our report, our audited report of last year come back or not?
Not yet.
No.
We're still waiting for the audit report. That's why we have not been able to have our AGM. I had a talk to the team leader of finance today, and they're working really hard to get this all finalised. So we'll be having our AGM at the beginning of next year. And it's all our books were put in, but it's the audit department that are causing the delay. They've had a shortage of staff and illness and that. So that's where it is at the moment. So any other questions? All right, then we have a recommendation that the unconfirmed minutes of the Kentish Council Audit Panel committee meeting held on the 18th of November be received. All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. 17.2, we have the Kentish and La Trobe Council's Joint Audit Panel Committee meeting. A recommendation that the unconfirmed minutes of the Kentish and La Trobe Council's Joint Audit Panel Committee meeting held on the 18th of November be received. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Lane, Councillor Thwaites. There were 11 pages for the unconfirmed minutes. Has anybody got any questions or comments? Councillor Thwaites.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Page 10 says, talking about the workplace health and safety gap analysis. It says the panel noted that this has led to a stop work meeting for all staff to ensure proper training in this area.
Yes, stop work meeting.
A stop work meeting is usually called by a union, is it not? Is that what happened? No. Right.
Could I ask you, Mr. Parsons, to answer that, please? Thank you.
So it was part of a regular planned toolbox meeting that the outdoor crew did, and then the next day we closed the chambers for an hour in the morning first thing, so all indoor staff could do the same training session. Yeah.
So it was just an ordinary staff meeting?
Yes. Yep.
So can I request that you don't use the word stop work meeting then? Because that specifically refers to a union calling a stop work meeting.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm pleased, mate, that it's not
a stop work meeting.
A stop work meeting, but always happy to support a staff meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarification of that, and thank you for the question. Any other comments or questions about the Joint Audit Panel Committee?
Yeah, I've got a
Councillor Blenkhorn.
How much is it costing us per annum for an auditor? What's the cost to council for an auditor?
I can't tell you off the top of my head for that, but it was discussed when we had the meeting, and we voted to employ Paul Viney as the independent chair.
The audit or the audit panel?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's not what you said.
Oh, the audit chair, that's the question. Sorry, the audit chair.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the question was a bit confusing, but he's corrected it, so I'm happy with that.
So can I just clarify the question again? You want to know how much it costs for the independent chair?
Audit chair, yeah.
The audit chair, which is Mr. Paul Viney.
Per annum, yeah.
Per annum, thank you. I can't tell you off the top of my head for that, but we can take that question on notice. Thank you, Councillor Blenkhorn, and we'll get back to you on that. All right. Any Councillor Thwaites?
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
No,
it wasn't another item.
It's fine.
It was in the action list. It says item 1.7. I just don't understand it. It's on page 3, item 1.7.
It was noted that the penetration testing will not be actioned this financial year, that there is a fundamental shift in network architecture to be completed first. Is that the question? What does that mean?
What? Exactly.
Yes, thank you.
Cameron. So penetration testing is an IT service that you can employ where basically you get somebody to try and enter your systems. and work out how they can get into your network. We're going to make some big changes to that network. So there's no point spending the money doing the change and then having to retest. So we do the changes and then test.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's the network architecture, that's your structure that people are trying to get.
And in short, we've got stuff that is stored here and we'll take it up into the cloud. So then a lot of the things that we would test because we've got on-premises storage, we don't need to worry about.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thwaites. Any other questions about the Joint Audit Panel Committee meeting? And if there are no other further comments or questions, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Anyone against? Then that is carried. We have the Joint Council, Joint Authorities and other committees nil, urgent business nil, closed meeting. A recommendation that the following items be discussed in closed session. Could I have someone to move that? Councillor Hughes, Councillor Cassidy. And we've got a list of things that will be discussed in closed session. Could I put it to the vote? All those in favour? Anyone against? And that is carried. So this concludes our open session of the December Council meeting. I'll declare this open session closed, 7:06.
Merry Christmas, Council.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.